what's going on? This is Brandon.
And this is Lauren.
Today we're going to be talking about the new film from the Foo Fighters. So if you're a big Foo Fighters fan, I think this is just going to be like the whole left field because they just made like a horror film. So today's film is Studio 666. And it just had it was a crazy fun ride. We just got done checking it out. It had a lot of like star power in it, from music industry to like up and coming horror stars and everything like that. So right now we're just going to get into it and kind of like talk about what we thought about the film. This is a really spoiler heavy review. So if you haven't checked it out yet, shut it off because I don't want to hear anything about, oh, they ruined it for us, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to just talk about this whole fucking film and kind of just like say how we feel about it. So, also, what was it? Like just a couple of days ago, when it released, I had put out a post to check and see how everyone felt about this film. And there's a lot of good reviews and a lot of good feedback. The first thing that I know that stood out the most to me was the runtime of the film. That's what a lot of people were saying that was their big issue. What were some issues that you had with the film?
Yeah, I mean, I went into it not really knowing what to expect. Is this going to be like a legit horror movie? Is it going to be like an art house kind of feel? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be like a rock opera and actually have Foo Fighters music in it? So I didn't really know what to expect.
No.
So going into it, I wasn't sure how they were going to fill that time up, but it really was a feature film horror movie. It definitely had those comedic elements, but I don't know. I guess I didn't have major issues with it, but I would say that I didn't love those demon people.
Yeah, we were talking about that, because it was just kind of CGI heavy with that, and so I wish that they would have had put more work into that and had more of a actual demon, Night of the Demons type feel to it. So kind of like how they had Dave's character.
Yeah, and I just also feel they had such really cool practical effects that it's not it feels like that was just an artistic decision and not they couldn't have done it that way. I just didn't really like the look of them. They seemed really kind of like you said, CGI, and I kind of like the.
But kind of looking at things, I kind of understand now, kind of looking at that point, because when we were watching it in the theater, and we both said that to each other, and now that we were kind of looking back on the film and kind of looking to see some behind the scenes stuff, the film was actually shot in secret during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I think that they probably didn't want to have too many people in on the surprise element, oh, hey guys, guess what, the Foo Fighters are making a fucking horror film. You know what I mean? So I think it was kind of used to kind of do that
post-production to not have to. But it's kind of funny because it's all right, they made this movie during COVID and whatever, it doesn't feel oh wow, you could totally tell this movie was made during the pandemic and they couldn't get the people they needed. It's just a small cast and that's all that was necessary for the plot line, and everything doesn't feel like something was missing necessarily. So I think it worked out for their storyline to only have a couple locations and a couple of people. Didn't really need all that.
So and we were touched on, there's a few up and coming people, and so one person that sticks out as soon as the film comes on is Jenna Ortega, and I've been sitting there saying this girl's gonna be the upcoming horror queen, the new Scream queen.
She's
of horror.
In everything. All of a sudden.
Because it was she's in the new Scream. And so she also starts out in that film. And then so
what's the other thing you said she's in?
She's in X. She's in the new Ty West film. So as soon as I seen her in that trailer, I was just all right, this girl's just taking off.
Yeah.
And so, she's on everything. She has that new film, what is it? Fallout, that's on HBO Max. So, if you don't know who Jenna Ortega is, I guess she started off on in the Disney Channel. And so, because my kids kind of put me onto that, who she was, I had no idea who she is, but she's definitely going to be taking over the whole horror scene. And
we'll kind of see what she does. I feel there's some people who stick with the horror genre, and then there's other people who kind of get their start there and they kind of break off. So,
well, it seems every role that she's doing is kind of horror heavy right now. Yeah. So, and we have Jeff Garland, and he popped up on the screen because we watch Curb Your Enthusiasm every Sunday. Yeah.
As he is in Curb Your Enthusiasm, pretty much. He's the manager.
The only thing missing was just Larry David being in this fucking movie, But fucking, it was good. It was good to see Jeff in that film. He brought some the comedy aspect to the film. It was
And he
like
kind
really
of like
fun.
makes his like nefarious comeback at the end where it's like, oh, okay, like cult
Yeah.
Jeff, like, you know.
But yeah, I think that kind of made it easier on like the Foo Fighters themselves because their whole role in this film was like comedy heavy driven too. So it was kind of cool like seeing them in a whole different aspect of like what they're normally used to, you know. And like I had when I put that post out, you know, a few people were kind of like giving feedback. Oh, you know, some people should kind of like stick to their lane and everything, kind of do what they want to do. But I think it's really awesome that, you know, you see people that are known for one thing saying, hey, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting ready to jump into this lane and I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna do something new because and the film basically or in like we talk about it says that in the film where it's like, you know, where Dave kind of makes some comments about, oh, like you said, being
oh yeah, he's like, David's gone. He's been gone for 20 years. He's a slave to music. Like,
yeah.
Or he's been gone for decades. It's like, you know.
And we were kind of talking about that too. Like if you look at everything from like indie horror, from a normal person trying to make this film during COVID or anything like that, and how they would how everything would go for them by not having the celebrities or, you know, the money for the gore and everything like that. It has like a different feel to it. But I feel as though that, you know, everything that they did with this film was really cool.
I mean, obviously it gives it like that instant like validity because it's like it's ultimately like it's the Foo Fighters playing themselves. So it's like, you know, if you see like we were talking in the car like about Deathgasm, it's like we both love Deathgasm and it's like those are kind of like random people and like random music and it's kind of like got that similar like satanic devil rock and roll, you know, vibe to it. But yet it feels so much different when it's the Foo Fighters because you're like, oh, like I know them, I can like relate to them, so instantly I care about them, you know. So it's different. If this were just random people making this movie, it's like I don't know if it would work or click the same, or if you would instantly kind of connect the same way. It'd be like, who cares about this guy? Like he seems kind of like a dick, like he's being mean to the people in the band, but like because we know or we view Dave Grohl to be so nice and like so awesome, to see him kind of like, you know, get possessed and, you know, become kind of this like rock star personality where he's like, no, this is my band, this is my song. like, you know, like we like give him the get out of jail free card. Like if that was someone else, we'd be like, oh, it's like a bratty rock star. Who cares? Like, you know.
But yeah, there was also another, you know, appearance in that film that just stood out to me because it was like funny because it got to a point where Dave was kind of just getting stuck with trying to like create the music. Like writer's block. And he started, there was points where he started like saying, I got a cool note. And then he was just like playing like the notes of the song and the band's just sitting there like, yeah, that's a pretty good song, but you wrote that song, you did that song like 20 years ago.
They'd be like, that's Everlong, or like, like, oh, so All My Life, and he's like, oh crap, like I've already written all my songs, like, you know.
And then it was like a cool scene. So what I was saying, it was a cool scene that kind of led up to what I was talking about, where he was just in the room, and then he's just playing like and he starts singing like Lionel Richie's "Hello." And then so he's just sitting there, and Lionel Richie just pops out of nowhere. It's my fucking song, and he's like,
"I really like this one. Like,
you leave my song alone." And so it was just like, all right. So there was definitely the comedy level to it, and I think that it was definitely a cool movie to like view in the theaters. You know, just the experience itself, because it seems like everyone wants to just stream it, and just because everybody was like, "Well, where can I watch this?" And I was just like, "Well, it's like exclusive to theaters right now."
But I bet that's like what they wanted. Like I bet like Dave Grohl or whoever was probably like, I want to hear it and see it in a theater. Like, because I think this could have worked as just like to be released on Shudder or something. Like it would be fun. I always like to see things in the theater, but like I think it would have worked that way. So it must have just been like that's what the band wanted. Like,
and I'm sure, and for everyone that, you know, doesn't want to go to the theater and everything like that, I'm sure it'll be on streaming platforms soon. You know, usually when films like this go to the theaters, they are in there for probably like a few weeks or something, and then they're out.
I'm sure Batman will like kick it out.
Yeah, that's why I was telling a lot of people, they're like, well, where can I watch this? I'm like, Batman comes out fucking in 2 weeks, so it'll be on. I'm pretty sure it'll come out of nowhere with like a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if it was with Shudder. So it seemed like a film that fits their platform. So, and then there was another appearance in that film where it was just like when the film first came on, you were just like, hey, that's John Carpenter's font. And I'm like, yeah, and listen to the score, right? When it was coming on, I'm like, that's John Carpenter. And he's also in this film. And then so it was cool because, you know, it got to that point where they were working in the house on the film. I mean, working on the soundtrack and everything like that. Yeah. And he's just sitting there like,
it's like their producer with like headphones on, like changing the levels and stuff.
Yeah, so it was just like it was cool to actually see him in the film, you know, and working on music.
I'd be like interested to know like I don't know this. Is Dave Grohl or like the Foo Fighters, like they must be like big fans of horror, or like did they just decide this is the way they wanted to go? But like I wonder if like they just like hit up John Carpenter and said like, hey, we're doing this, and like you know, kind of like they mutually decide to work together, or you know how that kind of went down.
But it's crazy. So it's like when you really look at things now, and I think it's just how everything's just so horror driven now these days that it seems like everyone's just a horror fan. Yeah. And just from like, you know, from even wrestling and like rap, you know, there's horror and everything. Like you see somebody with a Michael Myers chain on or a Jason chain, and
it's gone like more mainstream.
Yeah, than what it has been in the years. So it's like
I even noticed, I think like, everyone is. Like, I feel like I don't remember if we were like in Disney or Six Flags, but like you had like some like 80s horror, like random, like I don't know what it was, like a chopping mall t-shirt on, and some random guy that you would never expect was, was oh man, freaking love that movie, whatever. And I was like, what? Like,
yeah, it was at the fucking at the fucking zoo. It was at the zoo.
Yeah, the South Big Zoo.
It's just like, dude, I had the Night of the Demon shirt on.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I fucking love that movie. And I'm sitting, everybody's like looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, it's like a good movie.
You know, just you wouldn't always expect.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely horror is just definitely going mainstream now, and so it's a good thing. And so basically the film is just about, you know, like the band just recording their 10th album, and they were just looking for something different because they just felt like they were doing the same shit over and over, and they wanted to sit there and, you know, kind of like step out of the box and kind of like do something different. And so
they didn't want to like record in the studio, so they decided, hey, let's go to this like, you know, creepy location or whatever, like this house to, you know, get, I don't know, inspiration and like, you know,
they wanted a different like gothic type feel. They wanted dragons and mayhem and shit. And so Jeff was like, I got the house for you because I'm in debt to my eyeballs and I have to pay people off. So it was just like, he like, you know what I mean? So that was his thing. Jeff wanted to push this film, this album to get released in something different. Because I guess because the main thing was, it was like, I guess a band started an album in that house, and the person that was the main person of that band also was possessed and kind of like went and killed the whole band also. And so that's where everything
finished the song.
They didn't finish the song.
Like the root of this whole movie is like basically, and correct me if I'm not getting it fully right, but like that once you finish that song, regardless of if you kill off the entire band, once you finish that song, like that somehow, you know what, like opens up the portal or like closes the cycle, and then, you know, whatever the nefarious powers that be are pleased, and you become like a, you know, whatever, rock star, or they become rich.
Yeah, you could see like the film was definitely like paying homage to like Evil Dead and
Necronomicon.
Yeah. And it was cool. Like I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
And the kills were great.
Yeah, like, the kills were like
for a while there, like watching it at the beginning, I'm like, all right, like what's gonna happen here? Like, is it just gonna be like a little jumpy, spooky, or like, and then all of a sudden, like, what was the first thing that happened? Like, I don't even remember what the first kill was, and I was like, oh, okay, like,
so the first kill was the I think the sound guy and everything, the technician, he got electrocuted.
Even that was like kind of like, I wasn't sure, that was kind of CGI. Like he just got like a little, like he got zapped.
And so that kind of
intense from there.
But then his name, they called him Krug, so that kind of paid homage to Freddy Krueger because how he was burned. He's a burned victim, and then he came back in Dave's dream, kind of like haunting him and stuff like that. And so then that's when Dave started to like see different things, and he started to see those poor CGI Muppet demons. So it was just like,
yeah.
but yeah,
And
but
the kills progressively got like more intense.
yeah,
And like for me, like I feel like that like took the film to the next level, because like I'm somebody who, not that the plot doesn't matter, I don't want to say that, but like when I watch a horror movie, like if you string together a bunch of awesome kills, like that's enough to entertain me and I enjoy it. So once the kills really and like the pace started picking up, I was like, wow, okay, cool. I'm like really having fun watching this.
yeah,
You know, like it was just as good as like the comedic part of it.
yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing. It's like, you know, you have so many parts that move along with this film, you know, and I was sitting there talking to a lot of people, and they were saying that, you know, hey, this is kind of like if the Foo Fighters were in like Scary Movie, and we were talking about kind of like how, you know, that how everything works with that, you know, because you look at the Foo Fighters and it's like you were talking about earlier, saying that, you know, everybody kind of loves them, and so they're well known, and they're known for doing good things, and so seeing them do bad things is kind of like, wow, what the fuck? Because when we talk about
they get away with stuff,
yeah,
and someone else couldn't. Like,
and we're talking about like Scary Movie, so we like we all grew up on Sean and Marlon Wayans and Keenan Ivory Wayans from In Living Color, so watching them do all that different stuff and kind of like do a spin with horror and make Scary Movie, that's like the same feeling that, you know, that I get from this film, because it's kind of like, all right, well,
you just earn the ability to do whatever you want,
yeah,
based on your career. And I feel like Dave Grohl, and not to keep saying Dave Grohl and like leave the other Foo Fighters out, but like I'm just gonna say Dave Grohl, like, you know, he has so much cred like in his industry, not only as like a seasoned musician, but also just like as a good human. So it's like, you know, he can do no wrong. Like, you know what I mean? If Dave Grohl puts out a movie, like I'm just gonna go see it and like be excited about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not every single, you know, celebrity or personality gives you that same feeling where you like enjoy supporting them or whatever. Like he's one of those people that you want to do that, you know?
I think this film was just basically like, if you're going to go into it having high expectations and kind of just saying, you know, well, I want this film to be great. Like this film knows exactly what it is. It's they're just having fun and just like, you know, just saying, hey, we're just going to create something. So if you check this film out and you know, you're not pleased, because I know a lot of people were like, well, it wasn't this and it wasn't that. Like this film knows what it is. And so it's like, don't get caught up in the hype of it being,
it's just a fun
not to
ride.
serve you. Yeah.
Like I don't know, like I went in like honestly not knowing what to expect, and I feel like that was kind of like good for me, because I was just like, whatever this is about to be, I'm going to be kind of psyched for it. And we even said to each, like I was saying to him, because you know, I'm more of like a Foo Fighters fan or whatever, but even for me, like I'm not a super fan, so like I'm thinking to myself the whole movie, like, oh my god, if you're like a diehard crazy Foo Fighters fan, this must be so much fun. Like I bet there's so many like elements that even I didn't pick up on, like inside jokes or things about the different members that like maybe go over my head. Like I know that like Dave Grohl is obsessed with coffee, and that's kind of like a thing with his fans, and like you see him a few times in the movie like walking around with his coffee cup, like going through the house. Like so there's little things you can pick up on, and I'm sure a billion of them like I even missed, but it's probably so fun like if you're like a big Foo Fighters fan, you know?
Yeah, and like you were saying, you know, like we're not trying to just talk about Dave, but it was just like Dave was like the main character of the film.
It's almost the joke of the film.
Yeah,
it's like, you know.
And I think that like all the add-ons of like the band, you know, themselves, they had like funny parts where it was just like,
they're all likable.
The fuck he thinks he is, like, you know, fuck him.
But like he doesn't know how to grill for shit. Like,
yeah, he's like, fuck you. And so it was just like, so it was just funny, like how they were all just feeding off each other. So
and they've been a band for so long that it really feels like obviously like, you know, we don't know them, but like it feels like they're playing themselves for real, like like as if like you're really just kind of watching them be themselves.
So it was just like having fun. Like I think it's kind of like basically them just being on tour for years. And so it was like funny, it was like the lady that was from like next door, you know, like as soon as I seen her on the screen, I was like, oh, is that fucking Flo from fucking Progressive? And you're like, no. And then I fucking like look up this lady, and then I'm like, I think this is her. And then so I put her name, which is Whitney Cummings. And so when
The second you Google.
Yeah, as soon as I Googled it, Whitney Cummings / Flo progressive, and then she had a tweet, I guess, that she put out a couple months ago saying, if I ever thought someone over calling me Flo for progressive, that's all I would ever do. So I was just like, oh man.
A Flo way about her.
Yeah.
You could tell it's not her though. Like,
yeah, but like I don't know. It's like she's not really known for much, so it's like
I don't
when
know
you see a lookalike of someone.
Flo from progressive could ever really cross over to not be Flo and just be in.
See, but wait a minute. See, but you're sitting there saying what some people, the negative people, were saying about Foo Fighters.
No,
saying no, they shouldn't do horror.
All right, fine.
Yeah, see.
Stay in your lane, Flo.
Yeah, stay in the lane. No, well, Flo, you can go out of the lane. You can just try new shit. We don't need to know you just as a lady that's trying to give us nice like discounts on auto insurance. So try new shit. I wouldn't be bad though. Getting Flo as like a main killer in the horror film, just because you.
Foo Fighters.
Shut up. All right. So basically.
So did you like it? Like I liked it.
I did. I liked it a lot. I thought it was like really cool because it was, like I said, like, we had comedy, horror, and everything. It just had that whole vibe of, just.
And then they put the like lyrics to like, so they're playing this like 20-minute loop of a song like throughout the movie that they're like writing this like endless song. And I'm pretty sure like when they rolled the credits, that was the song, but like they had put lyrics to it. Like it was like real. I'm pretty sure that's what that was because that's a Foo Fighters song I never heard before. So, and it was like something like Love Dies Young. I think so. I have to like look that up, but I'm pretty sure like they put lyrics to that kind of like song that they were playing throughout the whole movie. So that was cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I was saying, I definitely enjoyed the film. I would definitely recommend it. So you feel the same way, right?
Yeah, like I thought it was a fun ride. I agree with what you said as far as like, I don't know if you're going in there with these like super high expectations.
Yeah, keep them low.
I'm not sure. Like, I guess if you're going in there hoping for this like really poignant horror movie, like you might be disappointed. But like if you just go in there like either a fan of just like a fun horror or the Foo Fighters, like it's gonna be,
yeah,
I
mean, like it was like the same situation like we were saying now, because it's like we were talking about like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's just like a fun ride, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, it's not to be taken serious or whatever. If you want to take it serious, you can. There's different aspects, but just enjoy it. Just try to enjoy the film. It's like somebody trying something different. We don't have to beat the bag of everything, just saying everything has to be this and everything
like
that.
People out there who just feel like nitpicking every little thing, and it's like if you can just go in and like suspend your disbelief for 2 hours, like whether it's in a movie theater, at home, whatever, like, and just say like I'm just trying to enjoy myself. Like I thought it was really fun, and like I feel like it's definitely memorable. And like a lot of times I measure if I like a movie based on like if I can remember a lot of stuff from it, and like I feel like there's scenes and like lines that just like automatically stick.
Yeah, like I can sit there and see someone like fucking leaving the movie theaters and getting home. They didn't even fucking create that album. That's not even their album. Like, they didn't even really record in their house. Like, fuck out of here. Like, just enjoy shit. Like, just have fun. Yeah. Like, don't gotta pick everything apart. Yeah, what she said. A fucking fun snack. What is it? Raw meat like he was eating?
Yeah.
The fun steak. But you gotta put extra fucking ranch on it though.
Yeah. Like the delivery guy dies and they're like, oh, it's gonna be his like 5,000 ranch packets. I'm like, what's with the product placement? There were like so many like Doritos and like Vans.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm like, even like a bag of Doritos died in that film. You just really like waste that bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. Hey, I like Cool Ranch. Yeah. So it's like, what I mean? I seen the bag get poured out, and they zoomed in on it, like the Doritos died. Like no, it was like a death scene. That was like definitely a kill of the week. Like who was left behind? And he died, and like zoomed in and watched the bag just empty out. So it all came together. Rest in peace. The ranch, the Cool Ranch. I still didn't try those yet. I seen the bag everywhere. The flaming hot Cool Ranch. I don't want to try it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get what it would be. I don't know. Oh, a story for a different day. Exactly. All right. So we appreciate you guys taking the time out and listening to the spoiler full review of the new film Studio 666. If you enjoyed it, if you checked it out, hit us up, follow us on Instagram. You know, if you're already listening to this, you're listening to the podcast, but also check us out on YouTube where this video will be streaming. So this is Brandon.
And this is Lauren.
Take it easy.